Hey, I'm Cameron McKenzie at CameronMCNZ on Twitter, and I wanted to talk to you about UiPath Studio and Windows credentials and show you how you can integrate your UiPath Studio robots with Windows credentials so you can get those username and passwords securely and you don't have to handle that secure stuff in your code. So here's how to log into a website using UiPath Studio's get username password X activity and also access this Windows credentials vault over here. You can see I got a nice little username password application here. It's got a little cheat on it. It says, hey, there's the username and password that will work. So if you kind of log in, you'll get some details and some information in there. If you go back to the page, it'll log you out. By the way, that's over at rpacertified.com/acme/index.html. So if anybody wants to bring that file up and do this exercise yourself, you can. But let's say I wanted to automate this. I wanted to do this using UiPath Studio. Well, the way I would do it is first I would add an activity to open a browser to that URL. And then, of course, I want to type into this username and password field the username and password, and maybe even a username and password pulled from Windows credentials. So the easiest way to do that is, well, I'm in UiPath Studio, but I'm going to use a Studio X activity. So I've got Show Studio X selected there. And the one I'm going to use is called Get Username Password X. There it is right there. I'm just going to drag this right into the do. Might even maximize this page just so that it's a little easier to look at. And it's going to say, what's the credential that you want to use? Well, I don't have a credential set up already, so I'm going to call it the UiPath example credential. And then I'll throw a username and password in here. And what did we say? We said, hey, mail@uipath.com is valid. And we also said, hey, password will work as well. So I'm going to throw those in there as well. You can show the password if you want. But now I've got this associated with this UiPath activity. When this runs, it's actually going to take that username and password and store it in the credentials manager, and in the future, if it runs again, it'll pull it out of that credentials manager. Okay, so now of course we've got the save for later variable. I'm going to name that, press what, Control K right there, and give that the name credentials. That seems like a sensible name. And then of course I've got this web page open, and let's see if I've opened it up in Firefox. I just tend to like to use Firefox for development, while from day-to-day stuff I use Chrome. And here we go. We can actually see this now. That's the whole thing loaded up over there in Firefox. I'm actually going to just do a little razzle dazzle here so I can share the screen a little bit. In order to get the next step going here, what I need to do is I need to say I want to take that credential and I want to type the username in here and the password in there. And so that's just a matter of using the type into activity. The UI automation, type into, click over here. What do we want to type in there? Well, I'm going to select it. Into that field right there, I want to type in credentials dot username. So then that's going to throw the username in. And of course, the password, it's going to be exactly the same thing, except it's going to be different. And so I'll indicate in screen the password there. And of course, it's not credentials.username, but it's credentials.password. There it is right there. And of course, to log in, we want to click. So we're going to have to add the click activity. Click, click, click. And that's going to be a mouse click on UI automation. What are we going to click? We're going to click this sign in button. And hopefully, when this all runs, that will sign us into the website using our credential that's going to be saved over here. Now, notice I called this UiPath example credential. You do not see UiPath credential right there, even if I flip back and forth. And actually, look at that. It's just been added in. I thought it wouldn't add in till runtime, but I just learned something myself. And there you go. Just as soon as I added in there, that credential is now stored permanently in Windows credentials. Boy, UiPath Studio surprises me how awesome it is. Okay, well, let's see this thing in action. I'm going to close this browser window and let it start fresh. So I'm going to say, let's debug this application. Boom, here it goes. Firefox, of course, wastes my time by installing some updates. I'm sorry about that. But now it's going to open up Firefox in this Firefox browser window. I get this window that comes up that says, hey, enter your credentials or accept the credentials that have already been stored. If I update this, it will save it in the Windows Credentials Manager. It now clicks OK, it logs me in, and now I'm into the website. And there you go. That's how easy it is to use UiPath Studio and a UiPath Studio X activity to save a credential and subsequently use that credential, that username and password, to log in to a website. And again, if you want to use that website yourself, you can grab that form. It's over on rpacertified.com. And there you go. That's how easy it is to use UiPath Studio and integrate it with Credentials Manager. Now, if you enjoyed this tutorial, head over to theserverside.com. I'm the editor-in-chief over there. Lots of great tutorials on UiPath, Studio, Orchestrator, you name it. If you're interested in my personal antics, you can always follow me on Twitter at CameronMCNZ and do the subscribe thing on the YouTube.